Greetings, everyone. This is Jed Schlackman, and for today's video, I want to speak about the way we look at things in reality, the way we're able to cognitively process things, and seeing how sometimes we're very simplistic or one-dimensional in the way we observe things and analyze things. I want to use the analogy of games that people play with strategy. And there's the simple game of tic-tac-toe, which many of us learned as children. And then there's the game of chess, which is a very sophisticated, complex game that people spend much of their lives attempting to master. So I often think about how people are applying the skills of tic-tac-toe, that level of complexity of understanding, to phenomena in the world that really require more of a chess level of comprehension or understanding. In the game of tic-tac-toe, you've got a board with squares on it. It's a 3x3 board, so there's 9 squares. And you have 2 players, and each player just has one type of token that they're placing on the board. There's the X player and the O player. Whereas in the game of chess, you have a larger board. You have a game board that's 8x8, so 64 squares. And each player has multiple types of game pieces that they're playing with. So you have the pawns, you have the king and the queen, and the castle and the bishops and the knights. So you have more than one type of piece, and the different types of pieces have different types of movement that they can engage in as they're moving on the board. So there's more complexity there. And of course there's many more spaces on the board. So it takes a lot of time to attempt to project and analyzing the gameplay, what each move can lead to further in the game. So to be able to play chess means you have to be able to think ahead more, to look forward further moves or further steps into the game. And you also have to consider more variables, since you have a variety of pieces, different ways they can move. So it takes much more patience and in-depth thinking than playing a simple game like tic-tac-toe. With tic-tac-toe, really in just a matter of minutes, someone could master the game and figure out how to play successfully to where no one would be able to defeat them in that game, where it would at least be a draw for each time you're playing. In fact, if both players in tic-tac-toe learn just some basic things about the gameplay, then every game ideally would turn out to be a draw. No one would win. And it doesn't take long at all to get to that state of mastery in tic-tac-toe, whereas it could take a lifetime to get to that level of mastery if you're playing chess. And few human beings so far have been able to get to a very high level of mastery at that, where they would never be defeated. We have computers now, you could call that artificial intelligence, playing chess, and they're at the level where they could defeat even the top human chess masters. So it's something that's not easy for human level of logic and thinking to master. So the more complexity things have, the more variables that are involved, the harder it is for us to master things, to understand them completely, so that we can make the best decisions to achieve the desired outcomes. So we've presented this analogy here of games, and a game that's simple relative to one that's much more complex. We can now shift our focus, our attention toward things in our everyday lives where we're trying to navigate various phenomena or realities, to understand them and to take positive or constructive action to improve our lives. In my professional work, I'm in the healthcare field, so I'm interacting with people that are dealing with different types of challenges or problems that they're identifying with their mental and physical health. And in that scenario, in that context, it's common for healthcare practitioners to look at things in overly simple ways, to not see the different variables that are involved, and to not see the different potential interventions that could be applied, different resources that could help a person reach their personal goals or achieve the health outcomes they're looking for. So you might go to one type of practitioner who has just a narrow range of therapies or interventions that they can offer to assist you, when in reality there may be dozens of possibilities that actually exist, and that person is only perceiving a couple of them. Also, in terms of understanding what's creating or causing your current state or condition, there's many different variables that are involved. It could involve environmental variables. It could involve variables related to nutrition, to your diet, to your exercise, to your lifestyle habits, your sleep patterns. It could involve social relationships. It could involve your subconscious beliefs. It could involve emotions that you're holding on to from the past. It can involve spiritual influences. There's just so much that's in some way potentially a variable contributing to what we're experiencing with our mental and physical health. So do we want to look at things from that tic-tac-toe level, where we're just seeing a narrow spectrum of possibilities, a narrow range of variables? Or do we want to see a broader view where we can look more complexly, in a sense, or systematically, seeing the interaction of multiple variables, looking at multiple potential moves? In this context, moves are therapies that you could apply or products you could take, etc. So to consider all of them and to see both the positive and negative potentials of any particular intervention. So to what extent are we able to perceive all of that, to start putting all that information together, integrating it to lead us toward the optimal or most beneficial choice to implement. To a great extent, we're just scratching the surface. We're still kind of on a tic-tac-toe level, when the game that we're playing in is more of a chess game, It's much more complex or multidimensional than we're perceiving it to be or thinking of it as. So for those that are dealing with any challenges or concerns in your life, I would encourage you to consider that it would help to broaden the perspective that you're applying to see a wider view of what's possible, to not just accept that there's only the X's and O's, that there's only 9 squares there in this analogy, but that there's actually much more to consider, to think through, to process and integrate as you seek to find whatever is going to be most beneficial for you. And this does not apply only to healthcare. It applies to many challenges that we face as human beings in our lives. If you think of different social issues, political and economic issues, scientific fields or subject areas, all of those might be things that we're looking at in too narrow a way or too limited a way, where we're missing out on seeing a wider spectrum or a broader view of the possibilities that are there, the variables that are involved. So if we want to be more successful in a sense, or more productive in how we address things in the world around us, it would help to broaden our view, to acknowledge when we're only seeing a limited spectrum of things, or only considering a fraction of the variables, a fraction of the potentials that need to be explored. So I hope that this little talk has given some insight into the way we're looking at things in our lives, the way we're attempting to address challenges we confront, or to understand different topics that we encounter. There really is a lot more potential there. We can evolve. We don't have to remain stuck at the tic-tac-toe level. We can mature and enhance our ability to think things through, to see the full picture of whatever phenomenon we're exploring. For those that are interested in holistic health, I invite you to visit my website. The address is phinsights.com. That's phinsights.com. And for now, I want to wish everyone a wonderful day. Namaste.